Good morning, self-lovers. Welcome back to the Self-Love Show. I am your co-host, Dawn Light, and my beautiful sister is with me, Trish Wright. Yes. So exciting. We get to do it together physically in person today instead of online, which we are online with you. Yay. In case you're new to the Self-Love Show, thanks for tuning in. Just so you know, we have an amazing plethora of 3 years worth of content or more by now, and we're on all the platforms. So go investigate on YouTube and all the places, lots of podcast episodes. And just, if you love this content, like, share, and subscribe because it really does help us. And we want to ask you to bless the gems of the show to help your beloveds in your life and the people because growing self-love is the greatest gift that we give ourselves in this lifetime of a journey called being human. And why not have expansion around self-love? Because guess what? We get to share in love's vibration with every person in our spiritual path. Why not, right? Have the best loving relationships you can possibly have. And that starts with yourself. So we are advocates for self-love and you and your growth. And we love doing this show weekly. And today we have an amazing guest. His name is Tad Hargrave, excuse me. And I'm going to read his beautiful introduction. And then we're going to jump into a juicy conversation. So, how marketing can feel good and be effective. Tad is a hippie who developed a knack for marketing and then learned to be a hippie again. Yes. He spent his late teens being schooled in a mixed bag of approaches to sales and marketing, and he learned these approaches while working for a leadership development company, mostly from Zig Ziglar and Tom Hopkins, Tony Robbins, and Brian Tracey cassettes. He delved into NLP and, used it all when doing cold calls to sell the seminars they led. He worked so hard and dedicated himself to mastering the content, but in the end, they didn't work. He embarked on a journey to find a better way. He discovered a passion for marketing that felt good and aligned with his values. It took him time, but he began to find a better way to market, recognizing that many of his hippie friends struggle to promote their good businesses and projects. Tad became a marketing coach for hippies and developed unorthodox ideas to help them grow their organizations without compromising their integrity. Yes, yes, yes to this. His approach emphasizes ethical marketing that is both effective and enjoyable. Tad's workshops, books, and online resources have provided accessible and affordable guidance to those who need it most. Currently residing in Edmonton, Alberta, Tad is committed to fostering a more respectful and humane culture through his work. Fantastic. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're a pleasure. You know, what I really appreciate about you is the way that you speak. And I'm excited that everyone on the show gets to just participate and enjoy who you are. I think that one of the hardest things about marketing, even the show or our own work in the world, or gosh, everybody I know really, is that there's structures in place that work, but those structures feel forced or inauthentic or like a mask or it just doesn't, like, I love that you used integrity because it just doesn't feel heart-centered. So it's like, you're supposed to do these things and do it this way, but it feels like a contortioning into a system that isn't loving.
Mm-hmm. I'll let you speak and then I'll go.
Oh, thank you. First of all, I'm dealing with a little hay fever, so if you see me muting and sneezing, everybody, that's what's happening. I'm curious, when you say structures, what do you mean by structures?
Well, there's a lot of different places where I mean structures. We can go from just the structure of the way business works, the capitalistic structure, and there's rhythms and systems that make that thing work. There's also structures of marketing that have been efficient and effective. They use some really interesting psychology techniques. And then there's the larger structure at play where we're rewarded oftentimes in society for being inauthentic, for contorting or conforming to social norms that aren't really authentic to us. So these are all just my opinions and my thoughts on it and how I feel when I like look at a traditional marketing course. Because it just doesn't feel like the vibrational, the like vibrant, the excited place of me sharing my love in the world. Right.
Hey, hey. I mean, would you be willing to share an example of this type of marketing? I don't know if any comes to mind on the spot at the moment, but a kind of marketing or a way of marketing that you've seen that's like, oh, that really feels pushy or inauthentic or
Uh-huh. There
I
was, you can go ahead if you have some.
and I have an example of you know, it's not necessarily a post or anything that was that occurred, but in an actual sales pitch to me, like, you know, in a conversation, they'll say, well, you need to have skin in the game. And that just feels so not loving or supportive or acknowledgement, real deep acknowledging of where I actually, for me personally, that was actually said to me.
Mhm.
And I actually was deeply offended by that because I'm like, I actually do have skin in the game. I'm like 7 years deep in USM, went to graduate school. I mean, over hundreds of thousands of dollars deep invested into myself and my business and my
right.
life and paid for marketing and learned copywriting. I mean, the skills and the what I've dove headfirst into to learn how to do this business, you know, for somebody to actually say that phrase just feels so predatory.
Was it being said within the context of, and therefore you need to invest big money into this program because that will
Yes.
give you skin in
Yes.
the game? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's others. The other pieces are kind of like, um, don't share vulnerably. That's a big piece. Like, don't share vulnerability. They have to, you have to look like this hierarchy of whatever. You have to look good. And I'm like, oh, that just doesn't work for me. Like, I want to be human and I don't want to be on a pedestal because God, like, I just want to live my life. Like,
And I personally believe, like, honestly, when you share your vulnerability, that's where people are like, oh my gosh, I resonate with what you're saying. And,
right.
you know, they really, it's sharing the messy parts of our life that people are like, wow, thank you for revealing that and sharing that. And I too have had that same struggle.
The other one is to share skin. The unfortunate part about
What do you mean by share skin?
oh, I'm going to tell you. Don't worry. Is like as a socialized as female body who fits into the social beauty norm, like my posts about like really beautiful content is like, but you know, I share like half a breast or like my underbutt, and people are like, "Whoa, this is amazing!" And I'm like, this is going to sag and my collagen is depleting every day and my telomeres are shortening. Like, y'all, I mean, enjoy it while you got it, because I you know. So there's like weird plays, and there's also these psychology games around I don't remember what it's called right now, but getting someone to say yes to something small and like doing that. There's just like so many, and it feels manipulative because I mean, maybe if I was just honest, like, hey, I'm going to try to sell you on something small, and then like, just so that they're consciously aware of the tricks might feel better to me. Like, so they're consenting, but there's something there that it just, yeah. Do you know what do you
I
know?
get it. Yeah. Okay, thank you. That gives me something to go on. Okay, so the first thing is, um, of course, this system, you know, these larger structures are working for a very small group of people, not working for most of us. That's probably just worth acknowledging. Uh,
Definitely.
you know, there's a friend of mine, we're sitting around the fire, and he said, there's an author, Steven Pinker, who I haven't read his work, so I'm speaking a little out of school, but he seems to be arguing we live in the best time in history, you know, less wars, everything's better. And the phrase I had to keep repeating was, well, for humans,
Hmm.
and not all humans. I mean, you really have to erase most of the biodiversity in the world to even begin to suggest that it's working better. And of course, but you know, I won't go down that. But we know that it's
Go
rough.
down that road.
Well, I mean, it's just, you know, there's I think most of us look at the world and we can see that there's plenty of trouble. In addition to the devastation of ecosystems, indigenous cultures and languages, and while we argue for diversity in mainstream society, we destroy the diversity of the world.
Mm. Yes.
And so there's that. That's one. Second is you said we're rewarded for these things, and what came to me is, are we? And I don't mean that there aren't rewards, but I mean, if we walk through our life with a mask on, is it us that's getting rewarded? It's yeah.
You
Which
get
is-
these things called like the social protections. If you participate in the social norm, then you I'm going to use this term, and I love that you said this, is like benefit, like at the expense of your authentic, true integrity and heart, your
Yeah.
soul.
The persona gets rewarded.
Yes.
Yes.
The mask gets rewarded.
For a while, and then it
For a
eventually will break down and have a major destruction later, like at some point, because the authentic self eventually will shine through and want to, like, the soul will eventually be like, no more of this. We're ending this pattern and structure for good, because the soul ultimately is in alignment and in fully, God is really the one in charge in our gorgeous, amazing life. So whatever you want to call it, God, all that is, the one that goes by 1,000 names, however you want to call it, that's the reality. So any egoic patterning or structure always is going to fall away eventually.
Yeah. Well, amen. And so that's just worth that's that's the source of the pain, isn't it? Is that the rewards are accruing, but not to us.
Yes.
And we start to feel that at a certain point. This is the golden handcuffs, where this is where all the wealth just becomes ashes. That seem to benefit you not at all at a certain point. And is this all there is?
Mm-hmm.
Third is the skin in the game thing. The trouble is that one of the many troubles, of course, is that the orientation of so much sales and marketing is get the sale, close the deal, get them to say yes. That's the sort of holy grail of the whole thing, or it's that's in all the mainstream. I don't know if that's true. That's just almost always there. Now, there's a lot of different approaches to it. Do we do it through neuro-linguistic programming? Do we do it through guilting people? Do we do it through showing skin? Through pleasure-based marketing, I've heard, and however we do it, we're trying to get people to say yes. And I remember I read a book a colleague of mine wrote, and I just found so much of it manipulative. And I told her, I said, this just seems, and I went through the book with her and I cited the parts. She said, well, I guess I see that there's a dark side of the force and a light side of the force in marketing. And I said, go on. And I said, well, how do you render those two? And then I don't think I've ever been more disappointed in an answer in my life, because the way she rendered it was, well, the dark side of the force is this fear and pain and all this, but the light side of the force is the result and possibility and pleasure. And I said to her, do you not imagine that that you can manipulate people with possibility? You deserve this. Aren't you worth this investment?
Mm-hmm.
And all of this. And so everything then gets rationalized towards the goal of getting people to say yes. And so that this is what would allow somebody to break any kind of etiquette or protocol or courtesy and say something like, you need skin in the game, and to completely miss all the skin you already have in the game. Because of course that comment is a guilt inducing, shame creating, obligation making something to corral you. And now, do people need skin in the game? Well, I mean, I don't know, do we need anything? There seems to be a lot of free choice. That seems to be one of the basis of being in this world, is free choice and how important that is. So even the notion that somebody has to do something and that we're going to be the ones to determine it feels, it just seems like the height of arrogance to look at somebody and say, here's what you need, when they didn't even ask us.
Right, exactly.
So we start dictating, but the way we get there is we're thinking, well, how do I get them to say yes? And so then all of these arrogances and they become justified. You know, the same kind of rationalization. Well, people have a hard time deciding, so you need to decide for them, and they'll thank you. And there's all sorts of what I've taken to calling Novocaine for the soul. It didn't numb you out enough, these rationalizations, so you can prey upon people, because of course it is predatory. And getting people to make little commitments. It's all strategy designed to get people to do what we want them to do. That of course, that's manipulation. So there's another goal that we can go for, because I mean, you were saying it, Trish, of maybe I should just tell them I'm going to try to sell you here. Of course, we would prefer that, but it doesn't actually feel that much better if somebody's like, okay, so now I'm going to use all these tools and try to manipulate you. I mean, it's like, thanks for letting me know. I'll leave now. I'm not sticking around for this. At least we would know. I mean, it's, same with racism. Most people of color I know says, like, I would prefer the overt racism. I prefer that to the white liberal, saying they're going to show up and then never showing up, and the racism coming out in these other ways. So we prefer it, but we'd prefer no racism. We'd prefer no manipulation. This is much better. So then what do we do? Instead of going for the sale, what are we going for? Is it no agenda at all? Is this what I'm suggesting? And it's not. I'm not saying there's no agenda, because if there's no agenda, I don't know why would you talk with anybody? Why would you meet with them? Why would you engage in marketing at all? You just sit there in an agendaless thing. But there's two things. One is that the agenda is no longer hidden. This is one of the easiest integrity checks you can have, is, would I be willing to explain to the person I'm talking what I'm doing right now? Because if you wouldn't be willing to just overtly lay out your thinking in how you came to say the thing you're saying and why you're saying it the way you're saying it, then that means you're hiding something. And it means you're keeping some cards to your chest. But why would you do that? Why would you withhold something? Well, you're withholding because you think if you tell them that, they wouldn't do the thing you want them to do. So now we're back to getting the sale and manipulation. So instead, there is an agenda, but it's overt. And so the agenda I'm going to suggest here is something you can, and I think ought to just say regularly, which is the agenda of getting to the truth. And the truth of the question just, is this a fit? That's what we're aiming for in our marketing.
Oh my God.
And so then we're trying to get there as quickly as possible, just out of deep respect for their time and our time. Here's what, this, like on a dating profile, if you have certain deal breakers, like you're allergic to cats, you want kids, you have kids, you are a flat earther, you're vegan, you can't stand these anti-vaxxers. I mean, whatever the hell it is, on whatever side of it, you're pro-Trump, you're against Trump. Certain things will be deal breakers, and my suggestion would be, start with the deal breaker. Have that be the very first thing you say.
High five. Yes. High five to you.
Tad, do you know how I date?
No.
I call it the make or break game, and it's probably the first or second date. And I just say, hey, tell me what your red flags are. tell me what you, like, hey, I've got these things in my past. This is what I'm still struggling with. I got this stuff going on, and I'm just like, hey, it's also called Can I Scare You Away? And it's just saved so much time.
Yeah.
Their time and my time. And some of us have been friends again. It's just been like, oh, okay, great. The only challenge is that it creates a false sense of connection, or like an intimacy right up
Right.
front through the vulnerability that
Well,
needs.
I
Go ahead.
well, and that's one of the things I want to talk about is vulnerability, is because as long as this agenda is to get the sale, there's nothing that this sneaky part of us cannot use in service to that goal and won't use. It's so shameless, and people will use their vulnerability in order to get sales. Email subject lines like, "This is so vulnerable for me to share. I've never told anyone this before." Overly emoting in videos with the hope and agenda that this will get people to buy, versus, if we share a vulnerability from a place of, I'm hoping this will help people discern if I'm a fit or not.
Yes.
Beautiful. And, I would also just urge most people, my general guideline would be, show your scars, not your wounds. Only because if you're going to put your wounds out there in public to the people, I mean, have you met people? Like, if it's really a wound, it's just, the chances are very high that a few people will not treat it well. And if it's a real wound, it's just, that's hard. That's a hard one to recover from, when you really put yourself out there and then you get slammed or chastised or shamed or laughed at for this thing that is actually vulnerable. So generally, I would suggest show the scars. Here's what I've been through.
Right.
And save the wounds for your friends, your therapists, the people who actually love you, who will care for those. But the scars aren't anything to be ashamed of. Of course, the scars are, you survived.
Yes.
It means you went through something and you healed. But to quote Martin Shaw, storyteller, there's no big accomplishment in taking your quill and dipping it into the ink of your wound and writing with it. This kind of vulnerability porn is really no big accomplishment at all. And as you're saying, it creates this false sense of intimacy.
Yes.
But then it's like, why are you trying to create the sense of intimacy at all? If the agenda is to, people think, I think most people would think that I'd be pro relationship building and marketing. And I am, but everything in the right place and time. Because if the intent of building the relationship is so that they will be more likely to say yes and get the sale, this is called schmoozing, where we get to know people, we build a relationship. And I would suggest for most people that the relationship building is saved for once you're working together. That doesn't mean you don't share content and your perspectives and ideas. That doesn't mean you don't share some of your life. It doesn't mean you can't hang out with people. It does, but if that becomes the strategy, is I'm going to be building relationships with people, and you would be disappointed if that didn't turn into business, then that's the red flag. Relationships can build once we feel like there's this click, like, okay, this is moving in a track where, for example, Stephen Jenkinson, who runs orphanwisdom.com, he written a number of books, but he was talking about carpet shopping. And there's this beautiful way that a lot of the real rug dealers work is, people come in and out all the time, and they're checking it out, the kind of taking a look, and they leave and go to the other shops and never seen again. And some people then come back, and now if they come back again, it's a little more serious this time. Okay, well, here they are again. So then a conversation might be engaged. And there's a certain point in the conversation where it shifts into, this is now, we're talking business. This person is almost certainly going to buy a rug. This is, there's a fit here that is kind of, you can feel it. And I'm sure these rug dealers know how to discern. At that point, the door is closed. The shutters are closed. Tea is brought out. And now it's like, let's get to know each other. And just talking about the family. And now there's this relationship building, but it's already you can both feel you're already on that off ramp
Mhm.
from chit chat into some sort of purchase. And
Yeah.
it doesn't mean necessarily that the person's going to buy something, but it's like, okay, I see we're now in this way that it's worth starting to build a relationship.
There's-
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I just love what you just said. It's a very beautiful example of building rapport and care for the person that's before you, and not rushing the process, honoring their needs, listening to what their real need is, asking about their family is such a beautiful thing, because you're like, hey, you want to know, is this rug actually going to fit in your life? I want to give you the right rug for your reality, right? It's not just to sell you something. It's like, I want this to be the right fit for you, for your life, where it's just like, makes your house beautiful. We're just going to use this as an example. The rug thing is a great example. It's like, no, I want the best rug to go to your best place so that you feel like I have the best rug. I'm so enjoying it. My family loves it. We gather more. It created love in our whole home because of this rug.
Beautifully said.
Yeah.
I have this, people have said to me that it's a really inefficient strategy.
What?
So I don't want to work with anybody who doesn't want to work with me. Like, I literally do not want that.
Amen.
And
Yes.
so I'll do a discovery session. It'll be an hour and a half. It's like an hour and a half of my time. We'll have a conversation. And then I'll say, before you make a decision, I'll send you the email. Give me a couple days to really like process out your information. And then go shop around. Come back. If you come back, great. If you don't, I trust that you will find the right person for you. Because I know that it's not exactly the best strategy, but honestly, the people that I've been working with have actually wanted to work with me and who are literally committed to their growth. And I'm like, I don't want to drag anyone through their work. I have done that. I have sold people on things, and I was like, this is the worst coaching experience I've ever had.
Right.
And I just want to work with people who want
alignment.
I want to give them the right carpet that fits all the things that they want, because I might not be the right carpet for them.
Right. And you could imagine if you sold rugs, I mean, perhaps you would be asking, tell me about where you live. Yeah, tell me about the house. Oh, you live in an apartment. Oh, you move around a lot. Oh, you have young kids and you live in a,
yes,
what? Oh, this carpet is going to get stained. Come back and buy a carpet later.
Maybe you shouldn't buy a white one.
Right. So, right.
Oh,
or here's how you clean it. Here's how you care for it.
Yes.
These all might be part of the conversations. Yeah. My general thought on the discovery sessions. My time is so precious, and I think especially in the beginning, we tend to have more time than money, and so it's like, okay, I'll just do a million discovery sessions if it gets me a client. And the thing I invite people to usually tend to in this, or to pay attention to, is at a certain point you start to realize who's a good fit and who isn't. There's certain patterns that show up of things that your ideal clients tend to be into, things they tend to believe walking in, things they tend to already be aware of, the nature of the problem that they have or the particular result they're craving. There's certainly, we just start to figure out as patterns, and we also start to figure out our deal breakers. Because we can walk in, I mean, I've asked people what their deal breakers are, and it's like, well, I don't want to work with anyone who's racist or sexist. Have you ever? No. Okay, so this is just bullshit. This is, we could make a list a million miles long of all the things you wouldn't want. And I don't like people who really like the color purple. I hate the color purple. It's just like, okay, geez, like, but from experience, we start to see that there are things that, okay, that really is like in dating and relationships. Yeah. So like, oh, if they have a cat, this just never works out. Because they love the cat, and then I'm allergic, and this ends up being a deal breaker. So for me, with the discovery sessions, the thing I would encourage is for people to have a layer of filtering before people get into the session. And I recommend often what I call an "Are you sure" video or "Are you sure" page. And this is when people are going to buy something. that's going to ask something of them, their time or their money. Not all the time, but if you notice, especially that there's a high proportion of people getting in who aren't a fit, if you start to see this, like, man, I got to filter better. In other words, when people would go, let's say with a discovery session, they go click to sign up for one. There's a page that's like, hi, you just click to check out the discovery sessions. I do them. It's an hour and a half. Here's how I do it. But I want to tell you a bit about it, and let's just make sure it's a fit to even have this discovery session.
Yes.
If you are not looking for coaching, don't book it.
Yeah.
If you're just wanting a free coaching session, this is not it. If you're really looking for some ongoing coaching and you're in this kind of situation and you're willing to do the following things, like you're willing to spend at least an hour a week on homework, you're willing to, it's probably going to cost about this much money, you're willing to spend about this much, or you're like, just here's all the things. And if that's a fit, then please book the session. I'm so happy to talk. And if not, there's lots of other people. Maybe I'll see you down the road some other time. And again, this is the art of filtering. In the beginning, it doesn't have to be like a fine mesh, but also we don't want it to be like a chain link fence with a mosquito, where it doesn't make a difference and everything gets to. So we start to figure out what is the right distance between the threads. But it's good to have some filtering, and this is the part that's left out in almost all marketing. There's 3 roles of marketing that we got to go through in order. We got to get their attention, then we got to filter, and then we have to lower the risk. And most marketing skips that second step entirely. And it's just get their attention, then lower the risk. Shocking headline, free set of Ginsu knives, people buy. So, but if you take out the filtering, you just end up getting a lot of people who aren't a fit, which means a lot of buyer's remorse. It means a lot of people wanting refunds. It means a lot of terrible clients. And some people would say, yeah, but they're a client. You got the money anyway, so it doesn't make a difference. But actually, in the short term, no difference at all. But in the long term, 1, you'll hate your life. You don't want to work with these people. It drains you. Number 2, you'll start getting bad word of mouth from people. And connected to that, number 3, there's an opportunity cost. Because let's just say only 5 out of 10 people are loving it and the rest should have been filtered out. That means instead of having 5 people raving about or 10 people raving about your work, you only have 5.
Mm-hmm.
And over time, that starts to accumulate, the gap between where you could have been and where you are. So when people use these manipulative tactics, they work. I mean, these people have our numbers dialed ever since, Bernays, the turn of the century, and propagandist techniques. I mean, please, everyone, don't think that they don't have our number dialed and they don't know how to work us and how to take, and you think, no, but I'm a logical person. Then that's what they'll use.
Yes.
Is your logical mind. No, but I'm one of these skeptical people. They will use your skepticism.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
They're shameless and they'll use whatever they got. So it works. And we see this at the mass level. The manipulations, the deceptions just work short term. If they want you to vote for somebody, chances are you will vote for them. And they can get you to vote, but they can't get you to be loyal. And that's the difference. They can get you to buy something, probably, but they can't get you to be loyal to the company. That loyalty comes from exactly like you're saying, Trish, go think about it. One of my dear colleagues, Jeffrey Van Dyke, who I adore, his practice is people have to go think about it. And one of the ways he did it was I was at an event called the Spiritual Marketing Quest. This like 10 years ago or more in San Francisco. And they had, 100, 150 people in the room. And they said, we're going to do a pitch now for a thing. So, you don't have to be here, but we'd like you to be here. But so that's nice. First of all, they didn't ask permission. Thank God. Because it may sound like I'm saying, but we need consent and permission. But it's a bullshit question when it gets asked. Is it okay if we talk about our stuff now? It's like, oh, like you're gonna not if the audience like first of all, the power dynamic is such that somebody in the audience says, I'd rather just an hour of content. No one's gonna say it. So it's a bullshit rhetorical question. So they just said we're gonna do it. You know, we invite you to stick around, you know, just because this you may be surprised by what you see. But they did the pit, and it was just a old, you know, dog and pony show. Here's what it is: testimonials and live testimonials, and going through the details, helping people understand how it would work. And then they said, and now it was a Saturday night, and they said, so now we're going to go for dinner. We're not taking any orders tonight. This is a lot of money. You have to sleep on this. And if you'd like to sign up tomorrow, we'd be happy. So
wow, amazing. Yeah.
The idea, and he told me another one where he did an event and he, you know, had a big room. He said, if anyone is interested in working with me more, I'm going to buy people lunch over here. And we'll be in this part of the room. And like, please don't come. This is if you just want a free lunch, don't. But if you're interested in working with me, come. So then he just talked for 20 minutes. It's kind of here's my bigger why. Here's why I do what I do. A bit more about him and his philosophy. And then he said, so if this resonates with you and you'd like to talk more, I'll be at this table over here or this part of the room. And they did that. And then with those people, I think he laid it out. And they said, if you'd like to buy, come over here. So you see what I'm saying? There were 3 different stages. And at every stage, there was the sort of bless and release of, hey, this may not be a fit. And that's great. You know, it either is a fit or it isn't.
Right.
And you know, we can't force it. And it's just, this is what it is. And that bless and release is that's the antithesis of going for the sale, because you're not allowed to release, because if you release, that means you failed.
Yeah. I love that. Again, it's just like, I don't want to force anyone to work with me. I love this piece about filtering, and this is where I'm at now, is because I'm a sex coach, I need better filtering. I have had multiple, I had the craziest, I'm just gonna tell you a story. I had the craziest discovery call the other day where I was like, he's filled out everything kind of right in the like Calendly form. And I was like, okay, I mean, this seems authentic and in integrity. And he was like, at some point, I know that he was baiting me to answer some questions about something specific. And I just engaged him with asking him deeper, like, what do you mean? Like, tell me more about that. Until he was like, oh, you're literally not. He didn't blatantly say this, but he said, oh, you're going to turn down a client because I want a relationship outside of my marriage. And I looked at him and I was like, I think you missed my entire practice. But I do hope that you find the right service for you. I was just like, I know, I get crazy calls. You have no idea.
Wow. Wow.
Well, and that's the kind of thing that could go on an Are You Sure page, where you say, like, let me be explicit. If you're looking for X, Y, and Z, that's not me.
Exactly.
And don't waste my time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I won't waste yours.
Exactly. Yeah, and I won't waste yours.
I love that you mentioned bless and release. I didn't really think of it in those terms, but that's exactly my practice in my marketing. That's exactly it. Like, I have lots of real honest conversations, but at the end of the day, I'm like, it has to be a fit. I'm not going to push you. I'm not here to sell you this, and I've been really holding to this fine line, and I've had periods where I've had slower periods because of this, but it's and I've had to have a lot of that ego drive of the pocketbook, always wanting to and I'm just like, nope, not doing that. I'm actually going to stay here, and it's going to be super soul aligned, and the clients that come in are going to be the ones that are just so aligned, and it's like the most profound connections and ahas and healing, and the loyalty is there. Like, I have clients that have been with me for a long time because of this practice that I've been practicing in my practice, because I'm not here to just get people in the door fast and just get it. No, I hold a tight container. I only work with so many people, and I want it to be rich, deep, and rewarding, and hands down transformational for the people I work with. Like life changing. I want to see their life transform. And the way mine is transformed through using the tools that I learned that I actually share. And that's just serving at the highest capacity. And I operate from that place. Like, I ask for clients when I'm ready to. I just tune into spirit and I'm like, okay, spirit, I'm ready. Like, I'm ready to serve you at the deepest level. Bring the people that are, and it's amazing. Like, I just got, a couple. I'm coaching a couple, which is really profoundly beautiful. And it's amazing, like, how their curriculum is exactly what I went through many years back. And it's profound. Like, it's bits and pieces in him, and it's bits and pieces in her, and I'm able to like explain it and weave it, and they both have such ahas. They're walking away, both of them, in their individual sessions and ahas, and in their group together, the three of us sessions. And I'm in tears when they leave, because it's that life changing. And it's because of this principle, what you just said. Now I know the words of bless and release. Like, that's actually it. Because I've had lots of discovery calls, and I've actually sent them away, sent them to other people, given them book resources, said, I hear that it's not right now for you, and I'm not here to push you.
Yeah. So, yeah, beautiful. And then the next step is, as we start to see these patterns, we put those filters in before the discovery session. And then it's like, okay, fewer discovery sessions, but the ones that we do are more likely to work. And then if it's like, oh, okay, there's just not enough people in the discovery sessions, then we need to have ways to get people in. And I'd say, just for anyone who's a service provider, the hands down, the best approach there is the intro workshop. Just an intro workshop where you're just sharing your point of view. And we could talk about that for hours. But the mistake, of course, that people make with the intro workshop is they treat it as a way to get people to say yes. And then all the chicanery, all that's this price. Well, I'm dropping the price. Okay, I'm dropping the price again. And literally fake people hired to run to the back of the room and sign up, and the testimony, all this pressure. But instead of that, the intro workshop is just us sharing who we are, and making the case for a point of view. There's this insane thought too, that we're supposed to be good at marketing ourselves. And let me just disabuse anyone of that notion. The thing I know about everybody listening, not from here, not from this planet, from this place called Krypton. And when you were born, your planet was in trouble, and they sent you, and you landed here. And now this yellow sun of this planet has given you superpowers, so that's nice. But also, you got this wicked allergy to kryptonite. Kill you. Too much of it just kill you. So you got to know what your superpowers are, and you got to know what the kryptonite is. If you confuse the sun and the kryptonite, you get into trouble. So human kryptonite is this: self-promotion. Just humans are, some people are very good and have no problem with shameless self-promotion, and they're called sociopaths. But the rest of us,
this guy,
I told you,
the rest of us, it feels awkward. We don't like doing it, and we don't like watching it. We don't. The whole self-promotion thing is just all around kryptonite for everybody.
It's so true.
But so then it seems like then I've just laid out a recipe for sort of our failure, because we're in business. We need to make money. Or in dating. Translate this however you want. I got to get out there. I got to promote myself. But that's the spell that we're under, It's do you have to promote yourself? Because here's our superpower. Our superpower is any guesses what the superpower is?
The divine, all that is. That's my superpower. Allowing God to work through me and do, And it's authenticity. Vulnerability.
For some of us, being ourselves.
Yeah.
hopefully.
Here's what I say to this. The human superpower is promoting other people.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
We're so good. We're so good at promoting other people. We can sell other people, no problem. So the challenge is, I think, so much of marketing makes us wrong and makes reality wrong. Says it shouldn't be that way. You should be good at promoting yourself. I'll save you years of therapy. You're never going to be good at promoting yourself. It's never going to feel good. You will only ever get less shitty at promoting yourself. But it will always be on the scale of very shitty to less shitty. That's the range. But that's not a recipe for hopelessness. That's not in the way. That is the way of marketing. Because then you realize, wait a second, what does marketing my business become? It becomes making it really easy for the people who love me to spread the word about me. Because they want to, and frankly, they're much better at it than you are.
Yeah.
So which takes us back to the beginning, when you talked about structures. There's so many structures that fundamentally disempower us. But as an entrepreneur, you can create structures that actually support you. You can create the structures and business systems that do make it easy for the people who love you to spread the word about you and lift you up. Those are structures that can work. Structure not bad. It's just the structures we're in go so against the nature. They force us to promote ourselves. They force us to hustle. Or at least they create the illusion that that's what we have to do and that's what we should do and therefore we should be good at it. But it's all on its head. Where instead we just get really good at we enjoy promoting other people and lifting them up, and we make it simple for them. Because some people in the marketing, they make it very hard. I mean, and in dating too. And there's all the pickup stuff and the dating stuff, and it's great. I mean, God bless it, because there's a lot of people out there who are just so awkward. But fundamentally, just the hot tip for the guys out there: a lot of women will date you in spite of your game, not because of it.
Yep.
They see how hard you're trying, and he's very dear. And anyways, I'll date him. That's one. And two, I mean, do you think women don't talk to each other in the bathrooms and say, "What do you know about this guy?" I mean, God, women just talk about everything. It's just
Tad, I'm going to blow your mind right now. There are Facebook groups in specific cities and areas that are, hey, have you dated this guy? Do you know, like there's connections and communities of people trying to protect women, trying to protect themselves.
Yeah, and totally. And
Awesome.
yeah, guys have nothing like that. I mean, we talk to each other, but it's not really the same level. Yeah. So, but of course, the translation to business is just relationships. So it's fairly exact. Yes, we buy from ads. I mean, every once in a while, there's that weird thing with Facebook where the algorithm knows you so well, and you just were talking about something, and then suddenly you get an ad for it, and you have this mixed feeling of like, fuck you, Facebook, but also thank you. That is the exact thing I was looking for. It's sort of a hateful respect that you feel for it.
Awesome.
But we so yeah, we it's mostly word of mouth, and that's how we do it. We go on Facebook and say, hey, does anyone know anyone? And we ask our friends. That's how it works. Reputation and word of mouth, at the end of the day, that's the long game. The short game is all the chicanery, but the long game is the reputation.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you, Tad. It's always such a pleasure to speak with you. I feel so inspired, and I love how you walk your integrity. How you teach people to align with their integrity in business. This is one of the reasons why I was like, oh my God, please come on the show. And also I was like, Don, you're gonna love this person. Because again, your reputation and the way that you hold yourself, the energy that you share, like dare I say, I feel safe with you. As a man, I feel safe with you. As a woman, I feel safe with you as a man. Like, oh, I can trust this person to be thinking, to hold his boundaries, to hold your integrity, and to be thinking about what's best for me as well. And that is the new world that we're creating. Not just, in relationships or self-love or communities, but in business and in marketing is that we get to choose to align ourselves really to our integrity and to our values and to take care of each other.
Mhm.
And I feel huge care in the way that you teach and work.
Well, I'm glad, and it has to be said, if it was 10, 20 years ago, you probably wouldn't have. So I say that because there's hope, we all, when we're young and stupid, we're often caught in these games, and we're doing the best we can. Well, we got the wounds that we have, we got the poverties that we've been entrusted with that we don't realize are really riches. We've got all of this going on, all the society telling us, and the deep hungers that we have for different things. And it's bad news when you're hungry, whether it's for love or for sex or for money or for prestige or control, whatever the hunger is. Everybody's maybe got a different one. If you've got hunger and then you get some skill in how to achieve those things, but you still have the hunger, that's generally bad news for the world, because then we look at things as food that are not food, like other people,
Yeah.
like the world, and we consume and we consume. And so I was in it as much as everybody else when I was younger, and that had all the consequences it did. Dating and business. Oh, it's painful. So it hurts enough. Like you were saying, Don, there's a certain point where your soul says, okay, and now we don't do that anymore.
Right.
And then there's shame, but the shame just there to burn away what's not us.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just don't do it anymore, and you proceed differently, and hopefully you let yourself be seen doing it differently.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
and then it's our deepest wounds often become the doorway to our truest niche. Our deepest wounds become the it's the way the medicine gets out into the world is through the wound.
It's true.
And then we've got that medicine for the rest of our lives, and it heals over as a beautiful scar, and we have that, but we have that medicine that we can give. So we've all hurt people in our past, and we've all been hurt, and who's to say which hell is worse, being hurt or hurting other people? But we all have those wounds, and then instead of wallowing in shame and being trapped there forever, we do the I think this is the other human superpower, I would say, is redemption. A human capacity to take ugliness and turn it into beauty. It seems to be one of the things that marks us as humans.
Mm-hmm.
We take our struggles and we turn it into some kind of medicine. There's this old saying that says the novice eats down beauty and spits up poison, and that's called the internet and trolls. It's real easy to be a hater, and then
Yes.
the intermediate person can eat down medicine and spit up medicine, but the master eats poison and spits up medicine.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Beautifully said.
Oh, this show could go on forever and ever and ever.
I know.
Like an ever. And I
I
want
really
to.
appreciate your perspective so much. It is very, very refreshing to have this conversation today. Like, I feel so renewed. This is all stuff I've been, navigating in my own business with, marketing and authentic marketing and having to go about it. And it's just like, I feel like I've been going against the grain of all the things people have, you need to do it this way and this, all the things you hear. And it's just like, nope, I'm not doing it. My intuition is like, nope, no, thank you. No. And I've been like soul led in my process and listening, staying loyal to my soul and honoring that and honoring other people's wisdom and their truth and where they're at. Like, I really listen where they are. When I have a discovery call, I'm like listening. I'm like, oh, actually, it's not a good fit for you. Okay, then call me later. Call me 6 months down the road, because I've had those conversations, because it's like, it's not going to work for me or you if, you know what I mean? It's like, it's got to be the right divine timing, the right blessing. And then it's exponential growth for both of us. And it's a win-win-win, and big wins come, and beauty and grace ensue, and life changes for the better. It's such a blessing. So you are confirming everything I've felt inside, and this conversation is just so good. Like, so grateful for you and your practice. Bless you. Bless your work. Bless everybody that touches your work in every way. So grateful for you today.
Well, as Tolkien said, the most valuable thing in the world, nothing more precious than the praise of the praiseworthy. So,
Aww.
Well, to learn more about Tad, go ahead and click on these links that I'm going to drop in the chat right now.
Yes, check it out. It's Tad Hargrave. Wait. Oh,
I'm sorry. I moved it around.
yes. It slipped out of my eyesight.
I'll stop messing around on your computer and do it on mine.
You can also go to for those listening, because we are broadcast on a radio station. So https /marketingforhippies.com. Go check it out. Like, Tad's got really great stuff to do and help you in so many beautiful ways. Authentic market yourself.
Yeah. You can also find Tad on Instagram. And I'm not going to read that to you.
Nice.
It's a bunch of numbers, but it's TADHARGRAVE. I follow you. You're fabulous. Your content's great. I love you. I'm always like, that's my friend. I also do that with you too. I'd really like to thank you for your time, both of you today. And I know, again, time is very, very precious. It's the only non-renewable resource that we have. And our telomeres are shortening every day, and our collagen is miraculous. So we age. So thank you for sharing the bits of time and energy that you have today. I also want to say thank you to Scott Thomas, Love Coach Academy, Global Peace Tribe.
All our viewers, we love you, love you, love you so much. Thank you for tuning in. So grateful for the show and the opportunity to give, serve, and be here. And I get to do it in person this week. Love you so much.
Thank you. Oh, thank you to John and Summer Raymer from Sign Network. And a big, wild thank you to Russell and Roy for making this all happen. Russell is our self-love show
virtual assistant
who just makes everything possible today. So we will see you here, same time, same place next week. Again, Tad, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for your time today. It was really fun. I got great laughs out of the show today. Yes. Bless you, my friend.